Call to order. Roll call, please.
Mike Davenport.
Here.
Christopher Espinoza.
Here.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Here.
Terry Pavasich.
Here.
Nancy Kupka.
Here.
And Luca Plauskas.
Here.
Thank you very much.
We have a quorum. Let's stand. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the minutes from the August 15th, 2022 business meeting, the September 12th, 2022. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't do roll call.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we did, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Good.
Too many things in my head. September 12th, 2022 workshop meeting and September 12th, 2022 closed
I don't
meeting.
know.
So moved.
Second. Chris and Terry.
It didn't go.
Thank you very much. Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the minutes are approved. Next, we'll move on to the first reception of visitors. Do we have any sheets?
Fairly sheet.
We have sheet.
It's for the second reception.
So there's nobody else
No.
wishing to, okay.
Don't have a slip.
Oh, okay. All right.
Then we'll move on to the recommendations and reports of the superintendent. Employer participation?
All right, we have a few just kind of housekeeping items for the board this evening before we get into the budget presentations tonight. The first one is a rule that was passed by state law that then authorized TRS to open up this, it's basically a 457B, right? Account attached to TRS that all new teachers will automatically be enrolled into. We were required to go through the process of approving this. This is the final step of that for the board to approve our participation in it. It's very much a formality and something we're required to do by law. So this was a memo to the board a couple of times, but tonight's the final step of approving that process. Once an employee enrolls in it, they can choose to stay in it or unenroll from it, but it's the final step of this process. Any questions? Rob, Mark, or I can attempt to answer them for you. Or jury. Yeah.
Nope. None heard?
All right, so this is up for action later on this evening. The next one is the administrator and teacher salary and benefit report. We're required by law to post this each year and then inform the board that it is up on our website. The requirement is informing the board that we have posted it, and we have. Any questions?
No.
Nope.
All right. The next one, we have a little bit of a title change, and the document I printed out for board members because we have a slight change in the opening paragraph. Over the last couple of days, the village's attorney went back through and reviewed all of the documentation. We had this originally written as an intergovernmental agreement because that's what we've all referred to it as, especially myself and the chief of police. But in going back and looking through the documents, it's actually a memorandum of understanding is the original agreement. So this should be an addendum to a memorandum of understanding, not an addendum to an intergovernmental agreement. The opening paragraph just changes that language. Otherwise, everything is the same as what has been posted online before and was out for the public, and the board has reviewed before this. So the opening paragraph is changed to reflect that it's a memorandum of understanding, and we've updated that language in the action item this evening. Otherwise, it's the same language that you've seen before tonight. Any questions on this agreement?
Is that really just a housekeeping sort of thing? Okay, all right.
It really doesn't matter to us because the mechanics for an IGA or an MOU are the same for a school district,
Okay.
but for village government, it's different. So for us, it's the same process either way, but it needs to be the right language there for the village.
Okay. I'm good.
Did you have any concerns with the body of the?
No.
Okay.
All right, that's an action item later this evening as well. And obviously that ties back to our strategic plan. All right, 2022-23 tentative budget is an action item this evening, returns for approval following a public hearing this evening. And I will turn this over to Jeree and Mark. Obviously, the budget ties closely into our strategic plan.
I really like how we're tying everything back to the strategic plan.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Well, we do have, in the tentative budget, we actually have some adjustments in this for tonight, which are both good things based on new information that we have. One is for our corporate personal property replacement tax. We got confirmation from the state that it'd be significantly more than we thought it would be, so we made an adjustment for that. That should be in the $3 million range when we're done. It's incredible.
Nice.
Because it's been there, it was there in the past, and then they
Yeah.
took it and diverted the funds for decades, and now it's coming back to us, which is a good thing.
So it's more for us, but not more for the taxpayer.
Right, it's corporate,
Just to be
comes
clear.
out of the state, yeah. The second is just interest rates. We were almost, for the last 3 or 4 years, it was almost like a second thought about, interest wasn't going to happen, so there was, very little that we got out of investments. But we have, our early taxes and other investments that we place, and we're able to see, we're meeting with some people this week, we should be in the 3s, which is
Wow.
huge change for us. So what was $63,000 in interest in the report now is much higher. So those are the only two adjustments we have in the tentative budget.
Did the board want to see anything else related to revenues, expenditures, or the operating?
Just for those that may not have been here last meeting, a week ago, we had an extensive
Right.
presentation on the budget, so this is secondary.
Yeah, the
You can
only
go back
thing
to
that,
YouTube, or you can,
right, the only thing that's really changed is that revenues, which is a good thing.
yeah,
to
Yes.
have.
right,
Yeah.
it's positive.
Yeah.
Overall, though, fund balance sits at a projected 5.9%,
Mhm.
which is well above what our traditional 3% threshold is.
Mhm.
All right. Then the next item, that is up, as I said, after
Will be an
after
action,
the public hearing, it's up for action.
right.
5-year financial projection, moving on.
So let me just go ahead and pick that up too. It's a very, I'd say, a very conservative estimate. We'd rather err on the side of, too little and having to pay big expenses and things. The CPI, and really the key to this whole thing is when you look at the financial aspects of this, what's called the applicable tax cap percent, that's the consumer price index, capping itself at 5%. There are years now that we've had at 7%, and we'll only be able to tax at 5%, even though the inflation is going on at 7%. But we're still able to get through that. That interest income will help us get through some of that. But really, the percent, the last 3 years, 5%, 2.8, 2.8, and those are very realistic calculations to get that. They're in direct correlation, really, with the revenues and expenditures, because they all operate off of the CPI. So if CPI comes in much lower than we projected, the economy theoretically and inflation should be running at a lower level as well, and our expenses should be close to it, and our revenues will probably be close to it. So they're very, very close. And the really bottom line is we should, well, one big thing before I forget, is we are going to continue the T99 addition, modification to that attendance center, and at a cost of about $4.4 million over, this next year. And we're doing that with operating funds. So that's why our balances are going to drop from 9.4 down to the 6.3 range by the end of the next 5-year period. And there'll be a lot of changes in between here in the next 5 years, but that is a positive target. We'll be there. We've been down in the 4 million range without any problem in our district. It's a pretty strong tax base, and it's a good district right now. So I just wanted to point that out. That's kind of key to looking at the whole thing. If you look at one piece and say this doesn't seem right, look at for the other, for the clue as to why. I know, Jeree, is there anything I should be adding on?
No, I don't think so. What Mark said was it is a very conservative projection, just so that we have the room in there for any fluctuations. And we already know our CPI, our tax cap out through 24, 25, which helps. And I believe our teacher's contract ends in 25, 26.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we already, that's a known out there too. So that's a big help because that's one of our largest expenditures.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I should have asked this question before, but I didn't notice it until now. What is the big dip in operating fund balance in 25,
Transfer some other
26?
funds.
25, 26 has transfers?
Transfer some other funds. We have, these are for the debt service, extension-based bonds. I'm trying to point to the right year here. Where,
Second column.
Second from the left, right.
yeah.
So in 22,
here,
23, that
second.
drop is for T99 expansion. It's
No, I'm 25, 26.
25, 26.
26. 25,
What are you pointing
The
to?
6,013, a change in operating fund balance?
Well, it's an increase.
Yeah, that's an increase of $6,000.
Yeah.
So we're almost balanced completely that year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it means that we're almost on paper.
But
we're
we're
scraped.
going up every year.
Yeah,
Yep.
It would
That
be
one
in
we're going
red
up
if
it.
it was going down.
It would, right, it would be right if we were going down, but it's
Yes.
just we're going down so much, so much.
We're
less
not
than-
increasing by as much that year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if you take T99 out of
The
this.
2.8 tax cap? I don't understand why we're not.
Why we're not increasing? Yeah, because you're only at a 2.8% CPI, so you're not bringing in as large of revenues as you are in those other years.
Right, but the following year, we're bringing in 168,000.
Yeah, because we have a bunch of retirements coming in related to the
Okay.
teachers' contract.
Yes, there's a
that year.
lot of different variables in there.
Okay.
And the last 2 years are really just a
Forecast.
projection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forecast.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Get the weather forecast,
exactly,
Yeah.
right.
you know,
Yeah.
get that far out.
hopefully not that bad in Chicago. Chicago is, we've had some crazy changes.
I was gonna say, if we took T99 out of this, that
Oh, yeah.
operating, would there even be any red there at
Dollar
all?
Difference.
No.
No, there would be no red.
So, I mean, I kind of wanted to point that out too, that we're doing pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Well, and we're taking on that entire T99
Yes.
project without increasing anybody's taxes any higher
Yeah.
than what would happen under just inflationary amounts. I will point out that there is one factor not in here, which is some of our athletic facility surfaces. So somewhere in the next 5 years,
We were just talking about this.
we have
were.
about $3 million worth of
Renovations.
renovations. That would be the field house flooring,
Yep.
which is approaching, well, it's over 20 years old
Yes.
at this point, and the artificial turf performance fields, not the practice fields, but the actual main stadium fields, that over the course of this year, this will be Jeree in her expanding new role. She and I will be spending some time looking at how we might make that work long-term and still maintain a good fiscal outlook. There's a lot of possibilities here that are too early to talk about, but we'll come back, a little teaser later in the year of coming back before we come back with next year's 5-year projection. We want to have a long-term plan for that piece fit inside of here.
Well, we were reminiscing about this a little bit, just thinking back to when we first came on the board, is when we did those the performance fields. And recollection was that there was a 10-year expectation.
Lifespan.
And
We're at
We're at
and a
Past
half.
it.
Right.
we're at 12 or
so just thinking
13,
about
aren't we?
how long we've been on the board, we've already moved past,
Right.
I think.
And that's just good maintenance and care
Yeah.
practices allowed us to get those extra years out of it. But we're definitely reaching the point where we want to be proactive and come up with a plan for those
Right.
facilities. So,
And that's a really great idea because it's going to be a lot of expense.
Yeah, those are big capital projects, you know.
But not
with-
as,
But they're worth it.
not as bad as doing them for the first time.
No,
That was part of the
no,
deal,
that-
was that
Yeah.
you're putting in the infrastructure. And then it's just a matter of redoing, so.
And does that include the track around it too?
Around both.
Because-
In the
because-
field house, the track, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
the track around the turf and the stadiums.
yeah,
and there's been some patching
Yeah,
here and there.
yeah.
yeah. Well, hey,
It's getting to be time again.
hey, when you have 3,000 students, you know,
Yeah.
trampling on it every day,
Well, and
let's say,
the
close.
Chicago weather doesn't help us with those things
Well.
either, so.
Right, there are also, I will just remind too, that those are facilities that our, our community uses as well,
Mhm.
not just our students, so
Yeah.
they're assets to the community as a whole.
All right, so any other questions on the 5-year forecast? All right. We've had FOIA requests, we've responded to FOIA requests, so all of those are posted up on the website.
Okay.
Public hearing.
So we will now open the public hearing on 2022-2023 tentative budget. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Do you have anybody who wishes to speak
Regarding the budget?
regarding the budget? Hearing none. Will you need a motion for the Board of Education to close the public hearing on the 2022-2023 tentative budget?
So moved.
Second.
Terry and Mike.
Thank you. Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza,
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler,
Aye.
and Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the public hearing is closed. We'll move now on to the consent agenda. We need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the consent agenda as presented, which includes the personnel report, leave of absence classified, transfer change of position classified, appointment exempt, appointments classified, the personnel report, retirement classified, resignation exempt, the personnel report, terminations classified, the financial pages, and the educational tours.
So moved. Oh, go ahead, Mike. I'll
Mike
take
and Terry.
second.
Carrie gets a second.
Thank you. Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler. Aye. Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the consent agenda is approved. Now we'll move to the recommendations for action. We need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the 2022-2023 budget as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Chris.
Terry and Chris.
Thank you. Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler. Mike Davenport.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the motion carries. Next, we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the addendum to the Memorandum of Understanding between the Village of Downers Grove and the Board of Education, Community High School District 99 of DuPage County, Illinois, originally approved on October 11th, 2006, which remains in effect as a Memorandum of Understanding regarding school resource officers.
So moved.
Second.
Mike and Terry.
Mike?
I'm sorry, yes.
Thank you very much. Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler. Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller. Jenny Hagstrom. And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the motion carries. And finally, we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the resolution approving participation in the TRS SSP, the Associated SSP Employer Participation Agreement, and the Associated SSP Notice to Employees. Joanna and Terry.
I'll go.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler. Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller. Jenny Hagstrom. And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the motion carries. We'll move on then to new business, the Policy Committee Report, the first reading of policies and administrative regulations, 8.2 AR1 and 8.20 AR2, and deletion of policy 4.120 food services.
Yep, so we met this week. The volume wasn't as thick as we've had in the past, which is good.
Still pretty thick.
But there's a lot of housekeeping things and a few other things, updates to laws, that sort of thing. Everything's recommended from press.
Everything except for,
8.2.
yeah, 8.20, use of school facilities, that's our own customized policy, and that brings in alignment some old policy
Guidelines.
with practice.
Yeah.
I think the majority of those, except for like the renumbering of our own job descriptions, they're pretty much in line with press. We reviewed some others that are our own policies, but
Right.
nothing that really that we saw needed to be changed.
But we have a standing policy or procedural goal to make sure we go back and look at those periodically and make sure that they're up to date, so.
But thank you for doing 8.2.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
That
Does any-
really clarifies a lot because it was a gray area, so thank you. Thank
Does
you.
anybody need the old agreement to review for their final, to digest that for their final reading?
If you'd like it, I can send it out. It is,
Red line.
it's pretty, yeah, and the old one is posted currently on the website
Right.
too, so.
Yeah.
I've got
As
it
always,
Here with me if you want to take a look later.
yeah, and Mike has
I have
that.
it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if anybody else wants it.
Yeah.
And then, as always, these are posted for the next month. If any board members would like to discuss them, Sherelle, Mike, or myself, all happy to discuss any concerns with you, and then these will come back for approval next month.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to our second reception of visitors. This is the second reception of visitors, which is intended for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. Comments are limited to 3 minutes to provide all visitors an equal opportunity to address the board. If you need, individuals needing more time should submit their thoughts in writing to the board secretary, Mrs. Nidek. Visitors addressing the board need to submit a comment slip to the board secretary and will be invited to the microphone. Prior to addressing the board, audience members should state their full name. The proceedings are being tape recorded and streamed for the purpose of producing accurate meeting minutes and being streamed. And the board's presiding officer, me, reserves the right to modify these protocols if circumstances warrant. Audience observation of these protocols is appreciated.
All right, we have one slip for Laura Hoyce.
Good evening. I'm Laura Hoyce. Last month in DuPage County, 27 school districts opted out of the sex education curriculum required by the radical National Sex Education Standards. It's fair to say that most parents in this district do not want NSES, the National Sex Standards, imposed on their children. District 58 in Downers Grove opted out. District 99 has not opted out, so District 99 is all in. On August 5th, when I asked Superintendent Thiele about this, he said District 99 will continue to use the same scope and sequence that we have used in the past for many years prior to the recent mandate. I did meet with the Assistant Superintendent, having requested what is the sex education curriculum, and try as I might, and many others have tried as well, to get some clarity around what is the scope and sequence, what is the sex education curriculum here at District 99, and we got no answers. So with that repeated refusal to provide the curriculum, we're left with that question on, well, what is being taught? Apparently it does comply with National Sex Education Standards because the sexuality unit, Hank said, is fully aligned with the Illinois Learning Standards for Comprehensive Health Education. And according to the ISBE, those standards are exactly the same as the National Sex Education Standards. So the teaching has been going on, whatever that is. We do know from what we've learned that gender unicorn, as one example, is being taught, and other items of the curriculum have become apparent to us, just not disclosed by the district, but from what we have learned from students in the sex ed class. So gender ideology and influencing are of a major concern, and we know Governor Pritzker supports that teaching, supports gender fluency. We believe this is not good education for the kids. So will parents be kept in the dark about their daughter's transition to a boy or their son's transition to a girl at the high schools? We know that's going on in some places, and that is a concern on the part of many parents. That District 99 embraces gender fluency and does respect students' desire to be referred to by names and pronouns. We believe the emphasis on this is not a good idea in education, and we should focus on the basics: reading, writing, math, those things that help our kids to succeed after they're done with high school. this push on sex and gender education is very lucrative for Planned Parenthood and makes a lot of money in the sex industry, which we believe this is happening nationally, regionally, and locally for a reason. It's big money. So parents, be aware, and we are hoping that Illinois will follow Florida's lead. Thank you.
No, we have no other slips.
Okay.
Take a moment to remind the board, as I have shared these communications with those that have come in, including Mrs. Hoyce, that our standards, there's no reason to approve anything because nothing that we've done over the last several years conflicts, and that is the language I have used. Our curriculum does not conflict with the national sex education standards. Therefore, there is no requirement to adopt or not adopt any of that curriculum. The concept or the requirement in this law is that we publish our curriculum. The guidelines recommend within 2 weeks of us teaching the unit. We don't teach this unit until November. So in advance of that unit being taught, with at least 2 weeks' notice, the law requires us to publish it, and our team is working on creating the documents that will be published on the website so that they are accessible to everybody in the community, just as the law outlines. Also, to those that are enrolled in our health classes, they will be provided with the materials to opt out of this unit, as they have always had the right to do as well. So far as sexual orientation, gender, and gender identity included in the curriculum, it's included in many areas of high school curriculum, as those topics are covered as human rights in the state of Illinois. It would be very difficult to teach civics and the Constitution in Illinois and about upholding rights or withholding rights without teaching those terms first. You need to understand what those things are so that you don't ever violate those and then face legal scrutiny as a citizen in Illinois, or that you know that if somebody takes those rights away from you, they are protected as well. So that's the logical rationale as to why those things are included in a high school curriculum. And, you know, it has nothing to do with indoctrinating students or passing along ideals. These are rights that are guaranteed to the citizens of Illinois. And we have a civics requirement to teach those things in our schools. So just making, I know I've shared this with the board before, but since it came up this evening, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, that was shared. So that's all I have for tonight.
Any other questions or?
No, thanks for the clarification.
Thanks.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, communications and announcements. Jenny, any update on Lund?
Friday will be our first meeting of this year.
Yes.
Finally.
We do have a regional meeting coming up that we should all, it's in your Friday packet. Sassid, Joanna?
Probably the only thing I have to say on that is that due to severe staffing shortages, there will be fewer placements for students. So I believe that she's going to be in touch with the district if she hasn't already.
Yeah, and there's also a strategic planning process
Yes,
going on that
right.
Scott, Lisa, and myself are participating in.
Terry, the foundation.
Well, we had a fabulous day at North High for our truck rally. It was our,
Food truck rally.
food truck
Maybe
rally.
that's the thing next year.
Different rally.
A different kind of
That
rally.
too.
Yeah. But the bands were great, and everyone enjoyed them. The food trucks were good. I think everybody ate their fill of whatever they wanted. And the ice cream truck did come. So there was ice cream. It was just such a beautiful day. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better day. And so we need to keep that going up and getting good weather for when we do this again. You know, and the games, the kids love the games. So we'll be expanding the games a little bit. more for the next time we do this. And thank you, North. North was really a great host for this. The CMG staff did great. Everyone involved was fabulous. So thank you very much. Thank you. And we haven't had our meeting yet, so I don't know what the bottom line is, but I'm sure it'll be fabulous. So.
You'll find out if you guys will consider doing this again. It sounds like it was a hit.
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna massage it a little bit. It'll be a little bit different, but I think having an event at North and having an event at South, because we're still going to do Pizza Wars. So be sure and, think about that in the spring. But I think it's really nice to have the community come to both campuses so they see how wonderful they are and what a great job we've done. And so, because we're proud of our schools, and so should the community.
Well, thanks for the Education Foundation for doing the work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's benefits our students, so it's a win-win-win.
Yes, we're small, but we're
And
mighty.
if you weren't able to make it, you can still.
You can still donate.
You'll still accept money.
Yeah, we'll take money.
Shocker.
So, anyway,
All right.
we will keep you posted on when Pizza Wars will be in the spring.
Please thank everybody on the foundation for us, though,
Oh,
as always.
yeah.
Chris, anything on IASP?
We have our delegate assembly on November 18th
Yeah.
coming up
Yeah.
in the city.
Packet just came out today, too. I read through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing, didn't seem too controversial.
I didn't look through the whole thing yet, but nothing.
You're welcome, change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So maybe, that's what I was thinking, for you, maybe it'd be a little smoother.
A nice
for you.
calm weekend is always a nice thing. Yeah.
And the save the date went out for the division meeting as well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And that will be at South High.
No, that's in the
Nope.
spring.
That's in the
fall one
spring.
is not.
This fall one. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I get you all excited.
Out over there.
Arwen was like,
what?
Okay, upcoming board meetings, we will have, October 3rd, we'll have our workshop here at 6:30. And on October 17th, we'll have our business meeting here at 6:30 as well. Now we need a motion to go into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the district or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity, and security procedures, school building safety and security, and the use of personnel and equipment to respond to an actual, a threatened, or a reasonably potential danger to the safety of employees, students, staff, and public or public property. And we'll be not taking any action? or
No
we'll be
action
taking-
following. We'll
following
only
our
come
closed
out to a
section.
close the meeting.
So moved.
Terry? Sherelle?
Thank you. Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, we are in closed session. Thank you, and good night. If you're not staying in closed session.